Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, December 11, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we have that ridge of high pressure, still sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can also see a cold front right there, stretching all the way from northern section of North Atlantic, all the way down to portions of the Bahamas, Cuba, and into the western Caribbean. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see those low-level patches of clouds moving from east to west across the main development region into the Caribbean, all courtesy of that easterly trade wind brought about by that ridge of high pressure. We can also see the clouds associated with that cold front, stretching all the way from northern sections of North Atlantic, all the way down into portions of the Bahamas, sections of Cuba, and the Western Caribbean. We have a lot of cloud cover taking place across the Western Caribbean as we speak, and there's definitely going to be some amount of flash flooding that's already taking place and more to come for sections of Central America. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, December 11. So yesterday's video made mention that sections of eastern Jamaica would get in on some early morning rainfall and then affecting sections of some central and western parishes during the afternoon. And for your information, as usual, we show these to remind you that eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey. So definitely Portland, St. Andrew, Kingston, St. Thomas. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. Western parishes, we are talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? As early as 4:45 a.m., a post was made on our Twitter page. Keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page, but our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok page at Weather Jamaica. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there. As you can see, we make some mini posts that are not made here on our YouTube page that you can't afford to miss. So a post was made at 4:45 a.m. this morning highlighting the infrared satellite images, and we know the infrared satellite images show those high cold cloud tops as represented by those blues, greens, yellows, oranges, and reds. Basically some cumulonimbus clouds that bring some amount of thunderstorms, and we also know that those sparkling white dots are indicative of some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, and we definitely had some of that taking place across sections of some eastern parishes, but more so across the north. So it was definitely confined to section of northern Jamaica, so Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover. And for your information, we know northern parishes right here, just like what we just stated, these parishes on the north side of the island labeled in red. And we could see that even at about 7:15 a.m. another post was made highlighting the very same, and we even saw some of these thunderstorms coming on shore across sections of Trelawney, section of St. James. Hanover got in on some of that, and we even have some amount of confirmation of this rainfall on our Instagram page. So we had TJ Minidal confirming the rainfall. Her stating been raining on and off in Mobe from early this morning. Then we had Sapphire Willimarsh 29N stating raining in Mobe. Then Ray on stating raining now in Hanover. So this indeed confirms the rainfall that northern Jamaica has been getting in on. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can definitely see that we had a lot of high level clouds pushing from west to east across the island. But if we even look closer, we can see that we indeed had some amount of clouds bring some isolated showers across sections of some central and western parishes, just as predicted. And then in the late evening hours up to now, we had a huge burst of convection right there off the west coast of Jamaica. So definitely some amount of thunderstorm activity taking place across sections of Westmoreland. And we even have the Cuban Doppler radar images to confirm, although it's not onshore right now, we can see that majority of it has left Westmoreland. All of those greens and yellows that represent on the key right here on the right, light to moderate to even heavy rainfall in the yellows. So we definitely had that rainfall that was predicted for eastern Jamaica, sections of central and western Jamaica, more so northern Jamaica more than anything else. But this indeed confirms the rainfall that we had predicted on the models. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can say we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as of 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning, we can see the temperature dipping down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for Tuesday, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z. This is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday, and we can see Jamaica embedded in some yellows and some oranges, and we can see by the key on the right that the yellows and the oranges are representative of some amount of above normal temperatures, up to 2 to even 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures for 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we know for the month of December right here, as we can see by this bar graph on the far end on the right, December across Jamaica, our average temperatures are about the same as 87 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 87 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So if we should be receiving 1 to even 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures for Tuesday, the temperatures should be up to about anywhere from 30 to 33 degrees Celsius across Jamaica. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see that we have a lot of moist air across portions of the central and western Caribbean associated with that cold front, as we are starting to see more in the way of blues, not so much yellows, oranges, and reds as we can see plaguing the rest of the Atlantic basin. And we know by the key on the bottom that all of that is indicative of a lot of dry air, especially right there off the coast of Africa, where we see all of those reds and whites within those reds. That's definitely some Saharan dust territory, and we can see it even better on this map from Sky Tower, showing the Saharan air layer forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, December 12th. All of the browns that represent the Sahara Desert, right there where we have those reds and whites within those reds on the dry air map. A lot of Saharan dust taking shape across those spots, and we hope it stays across those areas and doesn't make it into the Jamaica area at all. Taking a look at the wave forecast, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS is showing the wave forecast. We can see surrounding Jamaica, we still have a lot of blues surrounding the island, and we can see by the key on the bottom, the forecast for 12 p.m. on Tuesday shows that we should be receiving anywhere from 1 to close to even 2 meter wave heights across the water surrounding the island. And that's because the winds are going to be averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 knots. 10 knots, as you can see, represented by those blues, up to 20 knots represented by those greens. And we can see that for the most part on the north coast, the wind should be coming in from the northeast. On the south coast, winds should be coming in from the east. Either way, we can see that across sections of some southern parishes, we're going to be having those blues, those darker shades of blues. That's where we're going to be having the least amount of winds. That's where we're going to be having most of that air piling up on Tuesday. So whatever cloud cover that we're going to be experiencing across the island, across the Jamaica area on Tuesday afternoon, we could have some of those clouds making their way into cumulonimbus status, maybe getting heavy to bring some amount of isolated showers, if not thunderstorms, and some of this could linger across sections of some southern parishes, especially considering that there's a low level flow pushing it off to the south, and then there's a upper level flow of wind pushing those clouds off towards the northeast. So it's kind of combating what is happening. So it's definitely going to be causing some more of those afternoon convections lingering across sections of some southern parishes in Jamaica during the afternoon. So with that northeasterly flow across northern Jamaica, we can't rule out an isolated shower across sections of some northeastern parishes as usual in the morning. And then by afternoon, some southern parishes. So definitely maybe section of St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland might get in on some of that. And the precipitation forecast maps confirm the rainfall that's predicted. Look at this. This is 4 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see on both the Euro and the GFS malls? We can see some blues plaguing sections of northeastern Jamaica with that northeasterly flow that is expected. The blues, as we know, represent rainfall. So maybe sections of Portland, St. Mary, spilling into St. Anne, section of St. Thomas might get in on some of that. Skipping ahead to about 11 a.m., we still see much of the same. More blues across sections of some northern and eastern parishes on the Euro model, not so much on the Euro but on the GFS. Still a bit more robust with those darker shades of blues, especially across the same spots that we're getting it earlier. Section of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas. And then finally, during the afternoon hours, we start to see more of that rainfall spreading across the island. Euro showing more of that across eastern, central, and western Jamaica. GFS showing more of that across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes, but more so southern Jamaica. Look at those darker shades of blues. Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas getting in on some of that. And while that is happening, we're still seeing some blues across northern Jamaica. So it's definitely going to be a very wet day for the north coast. Then by the afternoon, section of some southern parishes. So if you're going to be out tomorrow, ensure that you walk with that rain gear, umbrella, raincoat, whatever the case may be, because rain is definitely going to be in the forecast for Tuesday. It's definitely going to be the wettest day in a long time for majority of the island. And as you can see by both the Euro and the GFS malls, yes, rainfall is in the forecast for sections of the island. We can see the GFS making a lot of sense, showing that rainfall for northeastern Jamaica, especially during the morning hours. Southern Jamaica for the afternoon, as you can see by those screens. Either way, both maps are showing that the most rainfall totals are expected across northeastern Jamaica, as you can see by those yellows that represent anywhere from up to 0.24 of an inch of rainfall in the GFS. Euro is a bit more robust, showing up to zero point 0.3 of an inch of rainfall. And we're indeed grateful for the rainfall that we're going to be receiving. Taking a look at this map, showing the average rainfall across Jamaica from 1996 to 2015, we can see that we're in the month of December. We actually see a decrease in the amount of rainfall. As we know, December is the first month of our dry season. Then February is the peak month of our dry season, the driest month of the year. Then March, then April, then starting May, we get back into our rainy season. So yes, we'll take all the rainfall that we can get during the dry season to put kind of a dent in that drought that we're going to be experiencing even more so as we head into the next couple of months. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, yes, we have a lot of clouds plaguing sections of Central America, Honduras, Nicaragua, sections of Guatemala, Belize, Yucatan Peninsula, even sections of the Cayman Islands, Cuba, the Bahamas getting in on some of that associated with that cold front. And we can also see some clouds coming in from the east as usual, with those low level clouds bring some isolated showers as usual across sections of some eastern s- Caribbean islands right there. So as usual, sections of Guadeloupe and area south of there, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, not so much happening right now across the Leeward Islands, anywhere from Antigua and Barbuda westward, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, the US and British Virgin Islands. But we do see some greens that represent some isolated showers across sections of the coastal areas of northern Puerto Rico. We can also see some greens that represent some isolated shores across sections of the British Virgin Islands, but we don't see much happening. It's when we look on the Barbados radar that we see more in the way of some isolated shores affecting the Windward Islands. So definitely sections of Dominica, Eastern Dominica getting in on some isolated shores as we speak. Martinique getting from, you know, all across the island, getting rain coming in from the east to the west. St. Lucia, sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Some more rainfall coming in from the east to affect sections of Grenada later on tonight. Most of that rainfall passing to the north of Tobago, but they could be getting in on some rainfall later on tonight, as we can see by those rain bands coming in from the east. Not so much happening across Trinidad at this time, but that could change later on. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall that we just mentioned across sections of Cuba, sections of Honduras, Belize, sections of the Yucatan Peninsula, and a lot of rain that's expected and more to come. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Tuesday. When we calculate that, that's actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And look at the above normal temperatures that's going to be plaguing the Caribbean. You can see those grays represent average temperatures for the most part across the Leeward Islands, even some slight below average temperatures as represented by those blues, while it's the central and the northern Caribbean that's going to be plagued by those warm temperatures as represented by those yellows, oranges, so maybe up to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. While look at Central America, areas of Western Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, section of the Yucatan Peninsula, and Mexico. Not to mention the southern and eastern United States. That's where all of the cool air associated with that cold front is hanging out at 1 p.m. on Tuesday. Don't seem to be getting much of that across the Caribbean at all, even although we really want it. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, we can see that majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear. All of the dust associated with the Sahara Desert, as represented by those browns, is going to be situated across Africa and portion of the eastern to central main development region, as we can see for the forecast 2 p.m. on Tuesday. As it relates to the wave forecast, we can still see that majority of the Caribbean, majority of the Atlantic in general, is still being plagued by blues and even some purples, even some burgundy colors, as we can see by the key on the bottom right. And we know all of that is representative of 1.5 meter wave heights in the blues, up to 2 meter wave heights in the purples, maybe getting up to 3 meter wave heights in the burgundy colors, and all of that is because of the winds that are expected. As we know by the key on the bottom, the greens represent anywhere from 15 to 20 knot winds, the yellows represent anywhere from 25 even gusting up to 30 knot winds, and we can see a lot of strong winds expected in the 25 to 30 knot range across the Leeward Islands for tomorrow, coming in from the northeast. Windward Islands more so, some grains that represent 15 to 20 knots. The waters to the south of Hispaniola and Jamaica, lots of strong winds as represented by those yellows, and a mixture of 15 to 20 knot winds to 25 knot winds across the western Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, coming in from the northeast for the most part. As it relates to the rainfall forecast now, we can see that Central America is still going to be taking the cake with the amount of rainfall that's expected. So we can see by those purples even getting up into some other shades of colors, maybe representing up to 6 or 7 inches of rainfall. So definitely anywhere from Cayman Islands westward, the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, maybe some flash flooding taking place, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS models, so there's consensus, keeping in mind that this map from the GFS and this map from the Euro is showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. We're not saying that it's going to be raining all the way up until then, but when the rain is coming, if it's not already falling, these are the spots that are going to be picking up the most in the way of rainfall. Definitely section of Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, sections of western Colombia, coastal areas of northern and eastern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, sections of eastern Trinidad and Tobago. So we can see Trinidad and Tobago not getting in on much right now, but it's definitely coming within now and the next 24 hours. We can see not much in the way of rainfall being forecasted for Grenada, but the Grenadine Islands, sections of Barbados could get in on some of that. Section of St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, going to be getting in on some rainfall. Not so much in the way of rainfall for majority of the Leeward Islands, as we can see those lighter shades of greens, and we see that on the low end of the scale in terms of rainfall. But the rainfall is going to be plaguing sections of the eastern and northern portion of Puerto Rico, northeastern Dominican Republic, as well as sections of the Bahamas and Central and western Cuba. And we can see that both the Euro model and the GFS models are in consensus with what is being forecasted. And we know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.